Hi folks, welcome back. In this lecture, we're going to be looking at some recent research in memory of emotion, specifically my 2019 paper that I did with two students. Now, there is a gap in the literature in that the past research that we looked at, if you notice, did not relate to memory of emotion for our childhood, right? Or for memories towards a person, for example. Now this lecture, this research will fill that gap. So this is Patihis et al. In Clinical Psychological Science in 2019. So the article demonstrates that memories of emotion towards a person are reconstructed and they are biased by present cognitions. I'll explain what that means. We will misremember how we felt towards somebody if our current appraisal of them changes, right? And we will show that this extends to memory of childhood emotions. And already you might be realizing why I might have chosen this, right? So I've been interested in false memories of childhood before. There's this gap in the literature on memories of emotion in childhood, and I went ahead and filled that gap and investigate whether you can change people's memories of emotion towards a parent in childhood. Now, this lecture is as much philosophy as it is showing you data as well. I want you to think about this yourself, relate it to yourself as much as you can. So the independent variable here is your appraisals of parents, and let's think about how our appraisals of parents could change. And the implication, of course, is that our memories of emotion in childhood may change if we're not careful, if we're not mindful of it. Well, parents getting divorced could change appraisals of one of the parties in a divorce, right? Getting new information about the parent could change our current appraisals of the parent. That may, as the parents age, they may change. That might affect our appraisals. If you have a child yourself and you realize some of the sacrifices that go along with being a parent, your appraisals of your parent may change. In fact, they do. I've been through that. If you go through psychotherapy, you might change your appraisals to your parents in an upward or downward direction. Well, we all have heard of psychotherapies that reappraise parents in a downward direction. You might think of trauma-type therapies that hold parents accountable for current problems. Or there may be some psychotherapies that raise parents' appraisal upwards, depending on the therapist, really. Self-help books may change the appraisal of the parents, usually in a downward direction, but I bet there's some self-help books that change it in the upward direction as well. I haven't read many of those. Also, I have here your success in life. This is a big one. If you become very successful, you might actually hold your parents accountable for that, and your appraisal of them may go way up, right? So you think about the famous person who gets on stage and gets their Oscar. They quite often talk very well about their parents, don't they? Another way that we might reappraise our parents is if we have a motivation to spin a different narrative, right? So for whatever reason, we want to create a narrative of our life. For example, we want to show that we overcame adversity and that we're kind of a heroic figure, so that we might reappraise our parents in a downward direction so that we become the heroes of the story. It could happen the opposite way around. So I hope this brings it home to you that I think all of us in some way could find something on this list that we could recognize as seeing our own reappraisal of parents as we go through life. Some of the reappraisal may be in the direction of accuracy, and that would be good. But what we would want to avoid is inaccuracy, of course. So we know that memory of emotion is a malleable according to current appraisals. And the theory behind this paper that I'm going to present to you is that current appraisals of X is a causal factor, not a very big one, but a causal factor in the memory of emotion towards X. If you convert that into specifically what our experiments were, we chose mothers and we chose the emotion love in this study. And so our hypothesis is that current appraisals of mothers is a causal factor, that's the IV, in the outcome measure, which is memory of love towards mothers in childhood, which we used a scale, a Likert scale, to measure. To understand the study, the IV is a current appraisal of mother. In other words, how highly do you rate your mother on various attributes that people have that are good for parenting, right? So how generous are they, for example? How warm are they? How much good guidance do they give? You know, appraisal of important aspects of the person as a parent. And the manipulation of the independent variable are attempts using writing prompts to change these attributes towards a mother. So you would, in the appraisal up condition, people would be asked to write out some sentences about how much they give good guidance and so on. That's in the appraisal up condition. In the appraisal down condition, would get them to write out recent examples of when their mother showed a lack of generosity, a lack of warmth, and a lack of good guidance, etc. So that's how we manipulated the different conditions, by getting people to write out things that were good examples recently. And we had some control conditions who were not manipulated in that way. And then the dependent variable is a memory of love you felt during a time in childhood. And this tended to be asked in something like this. In a period when you were in ages 6 to 7, how strong was your love towards your mother? And then there was a whole bunch of questions like that that were summed together. First things first, we did find that our manipulation worked in moving the independent variable. So in other words, mother appraisal down condition did indeed have lower mother appraisals compared to the mother appraisal up condition. This is just a manipulation check. It's not the main part of the study, something that you have to check first. But the main results of the study were here. We did indeed find a significant difference between the mother appraisal up condition and the mother appraisal down condition. So those who had appraised their mothers in the upward direction, they did indeed tend to remember more memories of love towards their mother at grade 1, which I think is age 6 to 7. These are American participants, average age about 30. Same for their memory of when they were age 11 and 12, significant differences between appraisal conditions. And same for their memories of when they were age 14 to 15 in grade 9 in America. Significant differences between mother appraisal up and mother appraisal down. The middle groups here are just the control groups. So we did indeed succeed in manipulating current appraisals, and we saw that those manipulations led to changes in memories of emotion, right? And interestingly, this is interesting in itself, their current feelings of love right now at the time of asking were also manipulated. So those in the mother appraisal down condition had lower current feelings of love towards their mother. The Likert scale went from 0 to 6, I think it was. And then you can see a 1-point difference here, more than 1 point. And we found that this effect lasted for 4 weeks. So as you can see, week 0, when the manipulation happened, there were significant differences between the experimental condition up and the mother appraisal down condition, and that lasted for 4 weeks. It did eventually fade, by the way. We found that out, I think, in experiment 2. We found that it faded after something like 8 or 16 weeks. So it didn't last forever, thank goodness. Now, in experiment 1 that we just went through, there is a potential confound. There may have been pre-existing differences between groups that we didn't measure. So we need something like a pre-test and post-test design. The IV manipulation may not have been the thing that caused the differences between groups. So it's fairly unlikely, but we want to replicate the study anyway, so let's go ahead and do a pre-test and post-test design to replicate the study and to check whether there were pre-existing differences between groups. So that's what we did. And the results of the second experiment, we did find differences in the mother appraisal up condition. In other words, their memories of love went in the upward direction. Mother appraisal down condition went in the downward direction. And that was a significant interaction. Same here, there was a significant interaction here too. You can see that both groups at pre-test before the manipulation had similar memories of love at grade 6, which is age 11. And then after the manipulation, which was 8 weeks later, there were significant differences in the direction that we expected. So it seems to me that these manipulations that we were using did seem to move and change memories of emotion. Very important memories of emotion in childhood towards mothers. And same for grade 9, significant interaction there. Mother appraisal down, gets dragged down after the manipulation, right? And this is one of the most interesting findings, actually. What about the current love that they reported at pretest 8 weeks before the experiment? So we asked them, how much do you feel love towards your mother right now? And here are the results here, around 4.2, both of them around this area. And indeed, when we asked them after the experiment, how much love do you remember feeling when we asked you the first time 8 weeks ago? Indeed, mother appraisal up condition went up, mother appraisal down condition went down. So they remembered feeling less love towards their mother. So you can see this is a rare finding in our study that we had the original measure. We know what they originally said in pretest, the love that they felt at pretest, and then when we tested it later and got their memory of love 8 weeks later, they were inaccurate. One of the most important findings in the study right there. The reason I say that is because in some of the other measures, we don't know the original feeling of love that they had in childhood, for example. We just showed that it changed. We didn't know what the accurate amount of love was. We didn't, for example, ask them in their childhood how much love they felt towards their mother. So I'm pretty sure that changing the independent variable probably changed the dependent variable. There's always doubt in experimental work, so that's why I put the word probably in there. There's some evidence that current appraisals of mother is a causal factor in memory of love. I don't think it's the causal factor. I think there are other factors too, such as, tiredness, such as biology, and so on. And actually, the original feeling of love, the accurate feeling of love, is also a factor, so there's an accuracy factor as well. So this study adds more evidence of a causal relationship to the literature, strengthens the literature in that way. It expands the research into a meaningful area. So this is what I dreamt of when I came up with this study. So I wanted to take that early work in memory of emotion and apply it to something that I thought was very, very important. And I thought, let's go to the core of human experience. What's the most important thing to the most amount of people? And I thought maybe the emotion love, maybe the emotion love that you felt towards your mother. I thought, what is the one thing that is so precious that we would not want it to change, that we would not want to be malleable? And then I did that study. I should say that other emotions changed too. We measured other memories of happiness and so on, and they changed in similar directions too. I haven't published that yet. Now, were there any possible behavioral consequences of these changes in appraisal and memory of emotion? That's what we tried to measure in experiment 2. So this is an example of what we did to try and measure consequences or potential consequences. So we asked individuals before and after the experiment, how much do you want to visit your mother currently? And you can see in the mother appraisal up condition, it goes up. In the mother appraisal down condition, it goes down. It's significantly different after the manipulation. So maybe this could lead to consequences, right? If your appraisals change, you may not visit your mother as much. At least you don't want to, and that might translate to behaviors, right? We also asked them before and after, how frequently will you visit your mother in 10 years' time? And again, you can see before the manipulation, no differences between groups. After the manipulation, the mother appraisal up condition is more likely to visit their mother in 10 years. At least that's what they're reporting on the scale. Those in the mother appraisal down condition are saying that they're less likely to frequently visit their mother. Now, we don't know whether this is going to translate into behaviors, but it could, right? Another question was, how frequently will you visit your mother in 20 years' time, assuming that she's still alive then? Same results. You can see no differences before the experiment, but the mother appraisal up condition is significantly higher on how frequently they report they will visit their mother in 20 years' time. could possibly translate to behaviors. I don't know. Another interesting question we asked them was, how much social support are you willing to give your mother currently? Right? So this may translate to behavior, it may not. Pre-test, no differences between groups. Post-test, mother appraisal up condition again has gone way up compared to the mother appraisal down condition. So the most concerning thing here is if you appraise your mother in a downward direction, maybe the social support you give them might go down. At least it did in this measure. May not actually happen in real behavior, but we don't know. Another question we said is, how much social support are you willing to give your mother after she reaches the age of 70? And you can see the same pattern again. Mother appraisal up condition as say that they're going to give more social support compared to the mother appraisal down condition, who have gone down in how much support they're willing to give at the age of 70, right? So you can see how this is important in family cohesion or family estrangement, right? In extreme conditions, in extreme circumstances where perhaps a psychotherapy or a cult has helped young people reappraise their parents, it may end up in estrangement. And this is the kind of reason why appraisals are an important part of memory and relationships. Another question is, how much financial support are you willing to give your mother after she reaches the age of 70? Same thing. Financial support is very important sometimes in older age. You can see that mother appraisal down condition started higher at pre-test and became lower at post-test. You can see if there's an interaction here, that means there's a significant effect, and there is. So let's discuss the possible consequences here. In real life, when you reappraise a parent, perhaps in a psychotherapy or something, could it lead to real consequences in visits, in financial support, in grandparents seeing grandsons and granddaughters, etc.? Now, you can think about whether this would extend to other emotions other than love, other relationships, and so on. For example, do you think it will extend to other people other than parents? What about spouses? Is memory of love that you felt with your spouse in the first year you were with them, is that malleable according to how annoyed you are right now with their current behavior? I think it's very, very plausible that follow-up research would find something like that. What about other applications in the real world? If a psychotherapy is going to reappraise parents or reappraise partners in psychotherapy, shouldn't there be an informed consent form that says that when you reappraise individuals in therapy or your childhood, the reappraisal may lead to memories of emotions changing or memory distortions, right? So that's something to consider. Should it be added to informed consent? In summary, we found that memories of emotion are malleable. Current feelings of emotion are malleable too. Specifically in our study, feelings of love are malleable. The causal factor is likely current appraisals, right? So how do you appraise your mother or somebody else in the present? And then that may affect how you remember them in the past. There's potential consequences in future behavior in terms of visits and support as well. Isn't that amazing? By all means, relate this to yourself to remember this. Think about how it might apply in your family. So that's all, folks. I hope that was a meaningful lecture for you that stays with you for many years. It is a piece of information that memories of emotion towards our loved ones may change, that I think can be used very positively, right? We can take it into account to be fair. We can notice when we reappraise individuals in an unfair direction. If we have reappraised individuals in the past unfairly, we can correct for that, right? So this is why I spent so many years running these experiments. It was a meaningful idea to me. Okay, thank you very much. Bye for now.